I got so stoned, and I had a piece of paper in my hand and a pencil, and I started writing lyrics. But I always listened to music, always. And then I don't know. So that's how it happened. I mean, you have to love music. I love music. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s music, some of the old stuff, the standards. And, but it's, you have to feel yourself inside before you can get it out as far as writing a song. Now, when I write a song, I can play the guitar about this much, but I know people. I know people that'll be here tonight. I know people that couldn't make it that were gonna be here tonight, that if I go to them, I go, I have this idea. You can play it. I'm not gonna play it, I'm gonna hum it to you. And I have some lyrics. Sit down and play this thing and just listen. And that's how I do it. I'm not really a musician, but I know how to get a song done. I know how to communicate it to real musicians. And that's the way it's always gonna be as long as I write songs.
There are many ways to write songs. Irving Berlin could only play in one key. So, Raj, you're not alone in that.
Very interesting. I appreciate that answer.
Thank you.
We're trying to get a future songwriter here.
Give him a pen and a guitar.
Is the future songwriter in your arms? Oh, well, you have a ways to go. I suggest putting a little ukulele in the crib.
Yes.
What about your children? What are they doing now?
My children, one's in heaven. One is a school teacher at the same grammar school they all went to. She's got 2 children. Her name is Lee. My youngest daughter married her high school sweetheart. They're 31. They've been together since they're 13. And she does Pilates instructor, and she's also in real estate. They both went to the University of Colorado. And my son went to UCLA. He never listened to me except for 2 things. Don't go into fraternity and get your MBA. So we went to UCLA, graduated, went to work for 4 years, and then got his MBA at Berkeley. I was so proud of that. Like 7,500 applied, they took like 240. And what do you do there? He goes, we just drink dead. But he worked for LinkedIn for a couple of years, and then he said, I'd like to find a startup and get some stock. I like LinkedIn, but I don't like getting up at 6 in the morning and traveling 3 hours a day back and forth. It's right by Google. So another company found him, and I guess they threw some money at him, some stock, and he doesn't have to get up at 6 and go down to Silicon Valley. And his name is Nick, and I love my children. What else is there but children? Even when they get big, they're still your children. I love them. I'm blessed to have my children.
Our children are our best work. Yes.
The early Greg Raleigh world.
What?
The Greg Raleigh world, the world you were working in with Greg Raleigh. That early part. How did you run into them?
He wants to know how you...
I ran into Greg Raleigh at a party. At Trader Vic's in Emeryville, there was 25 guys. Musicians, drug dealers, stockbrokers, back room in Emeryville. And I met him casually there. And a really crazy, great guy threw the party basically for himself and his friends. And there was like 25 guys. Everybody was meeting for the first time. There were cliques that knew each other, but I didn't know a bunch of these people. And the waiter comes up to this guy, Merce, and he's got the towel over his hand, and he's got the Dom Perignon, and he looks around the table and he goes, how about 4 bottles? And Merce goes, no, how about a bottle for everybody? Oh. And that's where I met Greg. And someone had a bad drug experience at my house one night, and I thought that Greg, he had the same drug, so I called him up. You okay? He says, yeah, I'm okay. Come on over. And I was upset. And I went over there, and I stayed for 3 weeks. You know? Cocaine was everywhere. We snorted it like this. It was, you know, it was probably real cocaine, and it's probably not anymore now. I haven't done drugs in 20 years, 25 years, but... And then I hung with him, and we became very good friends. And this was the time where Caravanserai was just finishing up, and I would spend days with Greg, and he was so broken up about this Santana thing being over, because he had basically started the band with Carlos. He was the heart of the band. Carlos was the soul. But he was, you know, Greg was, they've had a lot of lead singers, but not as efficient as Greg. Although Greg doesn't have the greatest voice in the world, he was perfect for that band. And it just broke his heart when he was not in that band anymore. It was like, you know, him and Carlos did not get along. But the band was not named Raleigh. It was Santana. So, he's a great guy. He lives in Austin, Texas now. And I haven't seen him, but I know, Greg, I'm coming to Austin. Well, you're going to stay with me. But he's been with Ringo Starr for 4 years during the Ringo Starr tour. And he said, Ringo's the best guy I ever worked with. I love this gig. And they just put out Santana 4, and I guess they're going to do some shows behind it.
Doing.
And it sounds like that's Santana, but that's my Greg Raleigh story. Well, just a little one. But
Greg
One
Raleigh's
that I can tell.
manager once told me that Greg Raleigh was so smart, he was practically disqualified as a musician. Come on. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
How do your kids feel about the book?
oh,
How do your kids feel about the book?
my kids are, you know, mixed emotions. I don't think they've read it. It's, you know, I had to be real about the book. I mean, this was a long time ago. There's some things they didn't like what I wrote about their mother, but they didn't really tell me what it was. But I know they only read an excerpt. But it's on them if they don't read the whole book, because it's not all about her mother. It's not all bashing anybody. The end is, like with life, is forgiveness, okay? So I forgave everybody except for one.
What's life without a grudge, Roger?
Right. So wait a minute. I never finished the Joe Schumann thing about Clive Davis. So my brother calls me one night and he says, you know, Journey's having this release from this book. It's Raised on Radio, and Joe really, really, really likes Steve Perry. Could we come and could she meet him? I go, sure. So I think it's the Hard Rock on Van Ness. We come, he meets her, and I'm sitting over here, and I hear Joe say to Steve Perry, Clive Davis is my cousin. I heard that a lot. Okay, did somebody have a question?
More questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hi. Roger, I'm just finishing up a book, my first book. You mentioned the other day, and good to see you here. And this character. And my question to you is, what do you think really makes a great book? Based on your own experiences of what you've been through writing your book.
Well, first of all, I'm not saying my book is great, but I'm saying I wrote it from my heart, and I'm saying it's real. And it took thought, but not enough thought to confuse myself, because I'm already confused. I was already confused. But what makes a good book is if it makes you feel good, like you are writing something that makes you feel good. You know, if you write a sentence and it's not right, you'll know it, unless you can't read. And if you can't read, you're not going to be able to write. But a good book is you know, I think you know if it's good or not, whether it sells, that's another thing, but if it makes you feel good, it's good. There's the gentleman that you should ask about a book because he's put out, what, 2 books in your life?
Couple, yeah.
Yeah, 2. So this is the question for this gentleman.
Roger's book is a good book. I found it in the mail and opened up the mail, and I gotta confess, I knew of Roger, but we'd never met. And
How did you know of me?
it's my job to know about people around.
Okay.
You know, Roger. You know, worked at the newspaper, and I spent the next like hour and a half just sucked into this book. Just opened it to flip through it. I'm sure you've had the experience, and you know, I mean, I found myself standing up and went, I guess I better sit down, because Roger writes with a very raw, wrenching, and candid approach. I found the honesty so compelling, and really, you know, he spared the other people more than himself, but the propulsion of the narrative, the thing that drove me through it as a reader, was this this tremendous openness and vulnerability, and the details are painful, but in the end, there's you know, redemption and, as you say, forgiveness. I sat there and read the book in the morning, and I recommend it highly. If I wouldn't, I wouldn't have been here tonight. Let's take a couple more questions. We have some musicians in the wings, and Roger's brought some books. For those of you who haven't got a copy, this would be the opportunity to get the personally inscribed autographed copies, certainly a keepsake for ages, and a souvenir of this fabulous night. Yeah, yes, sir.
So, hi, Roger. I'm really enjoying your book, but it is very candid, like you said, and very honest. And I'm wondering, did you feel an obligation to, you know, call some of these folks? I mean, some of them are drug addict stories. Did you feel an obligation to call just to remember what they were and what went down, or to say, hey, let's share some thoughts? Or did you just go it alone, all by yourself throughout?
You mean, did I have any help writing the book?
No, just
Pardon me?
just to consult. No, just to check, because it's so detailed. I'm really enjoying how it's detailed.
I think what he wants to know is that as you wrote the book, did you communicate and contact any of the people you were writing about, both to kind of warn them or to get more details that you might not be so clear on?
No,
Is that right?
I had my brain is really clear on everything, on all the facts in the book. I can recite the facts in the book. A few people, I guess, I told about the book. Oh, you're writing a book, oh, big deal. They probably never thought I'd finish it, and I didn't either at one point. But I finished it, and no, I didn't really consult with anybody before I wrote the book. I only consulted with myself. And if he said, do it, he did it.
But that's been my experience is, you know, don't tell them. You know, it's just, it's not going to go good. I worked on a book with Sammy Hagar, his life story. And Sammy, you know, he likes to talk and he's pretty voluble. And we got through the process. The manuscript was in the house. The galley proofs came out. So we're like in production. And I get a phone call from Mrs. Hagar. Oh my God, Joel! I can't believe this. This is going out. Well, you know, I would have thought you would want to keep up with this process as it went along. We're a little late to change anything. Oh my God, Joel, the PTA, my children's teachers. Not that I didn't sympathize, but I mean, I didn't marry him. Let's take a last question. Anybody got it?
One more?
Yeah? Do it.
Roger, Joe Selvin.
Hey, Joe, wherever you are.
I just want to let you know I'm really honored to be here tonight to support you and your book. I know I've known you for 25 plus years. Our kids went to school together, and you've been talking about this book as long as I've known you.
I know that, Joe. I used to see Joe at Joe's. And, oh, Joe, the book's almost done. And he's probably going, this guy. Go on.
So I just want to let you know I'm really glad that you followed it all the way to the end, and I'm happy with you.
Thank you, Joe.
Roger Silver, ladies and gentlemen.
Joel
Going
Selvin.
insane in San Francisco.
Anyway, some musicians are going to play. I was going to have like 3 of them. 3 more that didn't show. Someone had a family emergency and they didn't show. One of my friends is in Chile. He didn't show. But there's 2 people here, and the guy on the piano is Jon Close, who I write songs with. And he's an amazing piano player. And I met him at a party at Greg Raleigh's house. And we wrote songs, really great songs. And he's also a surf legend from the 60s and 70s, like one of the first guys that surfed Waimea Bay when it was 40 feet. I don't think he's doing that anymore. And he's going to play 2 songs. And the first one is about how I met my wife. And the second one is a song that I wrote for my brother. And this is the other musician. This is Miles Schon. He's a guitar player. I've known him since he was a week old. And you guys enjoy it? They just met today and rehearsed. So, thank you very much.